All right, 8:33 here on News Radio WRVA, the voice of Virginia. I'm Rich Herrera. Either you wake up with us and you're ready to hit the road, or you play catch-up all day long. That's why you got to tune in every morning to Richmond's Morning News. Okay, there's a firestorm going on in Blacksburg, but I need to find out more information. I'm not going to tell you I know exactly the ins and outs of this, but someone who does joins us every Thursday, and that's our former governor and our senator. Governor Gov Allen joins us here on Fridays, here on News Radio WRVA, and I'm fascinated, interested. I really want to get your thoughts on this. Sir, good morning. Let me just start off with, this is an uncomfortable conversation for John Rakovich, who done so much for the Board of Visitors. To be publicly dismissed like this by Abigail Spanberger, to me, is making me scratch my head. Did you ever have this happen where you had to publicly let someone go from such a high-profile position?
Not for many college boards. Colleges, you appoint people to boards of visitors to the various government colleges in Virginia, and you want to put people in who care about the university or the college and do a good job and look at the details. I did early on, though, I did have to dismiss a lot of holdover members on the Board of Corrections. And there'd been an offer from the Pittston Coal Company to donate land free to the Commonwealth of Virginia to build a prison. Virginia had overcrowded prisons. There's lawsuits, from federal courts. And one of the promises I made running for governor was we'll build more prisons and put them in communities that want the prisons. Although the state can build prisons wherever they want because they're not subject to local zoning. It turned out in Wise County, in the coal fields, far southwest Virginia, they wanted prisons. And the Pittston Coal Company wanted to donate this land. Well, the Board of Corrections would not accept a free land in the deed. So I knocked them all out. To me, that was malfeasance. That was really poor judgment not to take free land to build a prison where now Red Onion, the maximum security prison, is built. And I replaced them with a lot of retired sheriffs from Southwest Virginia, and they had the wisdom to accept free land to build a prison. So but that's an example of people not having good judgment to get free land and impeding something that was needed for the safety of the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia. This situation at Virginia Tech, what John Rakovich, who Susan and I know and admire, and I appointed him to the Virginia Tech board. So did Governor Gilmore. He reappointed him after my term. Later years, Governor McDonnell and Governor Youngkin, most recently, Governor Youngkin reappointed him for this term. John Rakovich, for the Virginia Tech listeners out there, they know the motto of Virginia Tech, ut prossum, which is Latin, that I may serve. And John Rakovich is just a genuinely devoted Hokie. He is not a pushover pansy. He's a fighter in the best of Hokie traditions. And he's just been great in getting their athletic department on sound competitive ground. He's raised funds for chemistry, for civil and electrical engineering, veterinary medicine. I know he's a great lover of the 4-H program. He's been president there. Heck, just last year he got, I forgot what the award, some major award from the Corps of Cadets, Distinguished Alumni Award last year from the Tech Corps of Cadets. Now, here, a governor, again, any leader, and you've heard me say this many times, Rich, and your listeners, the people of Virginia from their leaders ought to be given the truth. And I think a governor responsibly and legally needs to specifically state the reasons for removing someone from a board. And in this case, an unprecedented action against an appointee at Virginia Tech, who is rector. He's rector. There's not just an ordinary board member, but it would apply to either. If she legally needs to specifically say what did he do wrong, and she hasn't. And it's the other thing for the voters of Virginia who heard Abigail Spanberger before she, as a candidate or before she was sworn in as governor, constantly criticizing Governor Youngkin, her predecessor, for alleged political interference with university governance, and said that she wasn't going to be doing these sort of things. And let me get the exact quote. The governor's, this is what Governor Spanberger stated, this before she was governor. The governor's role is to appoint people. That's it. That's how it's always been until recently. Well, this is not consistent, and it is hypocritical for her to knock out someone with the stature, the character, the dedication for Virginia Tech that John Rokovich has demonstrated, not just during this term, which has been great, but throughout his life, for decades of his life.
Okay, so let me make sure I got this right. Do the Board of Visitors serve at the pleasure of the governor, and the governor can...
They serve for a term, a 4-year term, unless it's an unexpired term, and Rokovich was unanimously voted on by the General Assembly. So they are serving for a 4-year term, unless there's some malfeasance or something unethical, but none of that has been specified in this case.
And that's the part that bothers me. And I keep saying this when I'm watching the governor. I'm calling balls and strikes here. This is not my opinion. This is just balls and strikes. Says one thing, does another. Says that this man, the things she said were very stark. I'm not going to repeat them here because no one's been able to back up or tell me anything he did that was as horrific as being fired off of this board and the cause of that. But nonetheless, she does disparage the man in the letter firing him, but will not comment. Tyler Englander has been looking for a comment for her for the last 20 hours. They're not commenting. They say, we're not going to comment. You trash a man's reputation that's given so much to the university, and then you won't explain exactly what you're accusing him of while you fire him. To me, that's not leadership.
No, it's not leadership with integrity and responsibility. The Code of Virginia, the section cited in the governor's letter to John Rokovich, section 23.1-1300, the governor may remove a board member only for malfeasance, misfeasance, incompetence, or gross neglect of duty, and must set forth the specific reasons for any such removal in a written public statement. And first of all, there's no such grounds that anyone knows of, but she clearly has not shown any malfeasance. He goes to meetings, he goes above and beyond. He's not being derelict in his duty. He goes to the meetings, fulfills all his responsibilities, and has been a leader. In fact, the hiring of James Franklin as the head coach, he was one of the key leaders in that, as well as former assistant coach Bud Foster and others. And I mean, John was there for the announcement of it. John Rokovich was of Coach Franklin, and he's been involved in just so many activities and services and improvements for people at Virginia Tech and the communities they serve. So I think John, the governor is crossing someone who I said at the beginning, this guy is not some pushover. He's not a pansy. He's not a shrinking violet. And I think he's going to, well, obviously he's not going to be treated the way that she's treating him, because as you said, the remarks are disparaging. In fact, it's defamatory. The Republican leader, Delegate Kilgore, said these are libelous. And so to ruin somebody's reputation with these broad statements without any specificity, I think is just so wrong, just as a matter of courtesy and leadership with integrity and transparency to the people of Virginia, especially knocking out someone like John Rokovich, a rector at Virginia Tech, who truly has devoted his life.
And I just want to make sure
he lives in. Anybody knows John Rokovich? He lives and breathes Hokie Maroon.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody understands the rector is the person that runs the meetings for the Board of Visitors. There's a lot of responsibility. He responds back, says, I found the call in the subsequent letter deeply offensive, legally unsupported, and wholly inconsistent with the governor's own publicly stated principles. He says, I'm not going to resign. She says, you're fired. You said, you just let us know. You don't serve at the pleasure of the governor. You're elected you're voted on by the members of the General Assembly after the appointment. Unless you do something that they find a reason to remove you. It sounds like he says, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, nor should he. This is going to be a fascinating confrontation here because he does have a 4-year term. Now, there's others who were on the University of Virginia board who the governor said she didn't like him for whatever reason, and they acquiesced. John Rakovich is a different type of cat, and he is not one who's going to just turn the other cheek when he's being wronged this way and being disparaged, libeled, and defamed without any specifics. And he's a lawyer, so he knows the law, and he's a very successful lawyer. And I think that this, until the governor's going to need to come up with some specificity.
You have to have specifics. You can't just throw that out there and say, well, malfeasance right. and here and quote all of that out of legal, whatever whatever the instrument is that she's quoting, but not give us any proof positive, and then do it in such a public manner. I don't think that's going to cut the mustard.
Well, I don't think so either, and that's what the law actually requires, is that specificity. And so, and then, with anti-social media going on about all of this, this is just blown up. The Virginia Tech has a very loyal alumni and a lot of people who support him. And they're saying, oh, the reason she's knocking him out is because he's a Republican and she wants to put in this other guy who contributed, and his company contributed to her and her inaugural fund and so forth. And so the governor's, this will be interesting. The governor's going to need to respond with specificity. And then from there, there'll be, commentary or seeing the veracity or the validity of her alleged allegations. And this may end up in court. But I'm proud of John Rakovich. And this is not just for this. This is not a Republican versus Democrat issue. This is the way governance or universities are supposed to be run, in that you appoint people, and yes, you do have holdovers from prior administrations. That's part of the easy transfer, or you have the institutional memory. So you have new members coming on, you have some other members that have been there for 2 years, 3 years, or 1 year. And that's why a governor appoints about a quarter of every board of visitors or board of trustees for all the colleges. And it's not a big turmoil upheaval every 4 years. So you have that smooth transition.
Because it's about the university. It's about the university and the students, not anything else. Sir, thank you so much. We're going to keep an eye on this. And again, Tyler Englander is on it, trying to get a response from the governor. Nothing yet. And as soon as we do hear the governor's response, of course, we'll pass that along to everybody else. Well, yes, sir.
John Rakovich is demanding strict proof, using legal terms, and he really is. I trust him that he may serve is truly the motto of Virginia Tech, and I'm cheering for John Rakovich, and I'm also cheering for the independent administration and governance of our government or state colleges in Virginia.
Sir, thank you very much. I'll catch up with you next week.
All right. Adios, Rich.
All my best. Governor George Allen. Wow. That's a lot to unpack right there. Thank you for joining us here on The Voice of Virginia. Today's program brought to you in part by Loan Pronto. Credit cards. They're fun. It's awfully exciting when you get that big envelope and you open it up, you pull it off, then you activate it like, come on, honey, let's go to dinner. Let's go buy this. Let's go buy